Hello legal hustlers. In this video, we will explore the foundational principles of international peace and security with a breakdown of Chapter 7 of the UN Charter. Chapter 7 of the UN Charter deals with action with respect to threats to the peace, breaches of the peace, and acts of aggression. It outlines the measures that the UN Security Council can take in response to situations that threaten international peace and security. Coercive methods of settlement of disputes. Under Chapter 7 of the UN Charter, the UN Security Council (UNSC) is authorized to use a range of coercive measures to settle disputes and address threats to international peace and security. These measures include diplomatic measures. The UNSC can engage in diplomatic efforts such as negotiations, mediation, and arbitration to resolve disputes peacefully. This may involve appointing special envoys or establishing diplomatic missions to facilitate dialogue between conflicting parties. Economic measures. The UNSC can impose economic sanctions on states or entities involved in actions that threaten peace. These sanctions may include trade restrictions, financial measures, and asset freezes aimed at pressuring parties to comply with UN resolutions and international law. Arms embargoes. The UNSC can impose arms embargoes to prevent the supply of weapons and military equipment to parties engaged in conflict or aggression. This measure aims to reduce the ability of parties to escalate violence and promotes peaceful resolution of disputes. Use of force. In cases where peaceful means are inadequate or have failed, the UNSC can authorize the use of military force. This includes actions such as peace enforcement operations, humanitarian interventions, and measures to combat terrorism or aggression. Any use of force must be in accordance with the UN Charter and international law, with a primary focus on restoring peace and security. UNSC is Global Enforcement Agency. The UNSC is often regarded as a global enforcement agency due to its role in maintaining international peace and security. Key aspects of its function as a global enforcement agency include peacekeeping operations. The UNSC can authorize the deployment of peacekeeping missions to conflict zones to help maintain peace, protect civilians, facilitate political processes, and support post-conflict reconstruction. Peacekeepers operate under UN mandates and guidelines, working alongside national authorities and other stakeholders. Imposition of sanctions. The UNSC has the authority to impose sanctions, including economic and arms embargoes, to enforce compliance with its resolutions and deter actions that threaten peace. Sanctions aim to exert pressure on parties involved in conflicts or violating international norms, encouraging them to change behavior and engage in peaceful resolution efforts. Authorization of military force. In cases of serious threats to peace or acts of aggression, the UNSC can authorize the use of military force. This may involve peace enforcement operations to restore peace and security, protect civilians, and address humanitarian crises. Military actions authorized by the UNSC are conducted under strict mandates and guidelines to minimize civilian harm and adhere to international humanitarian law. Exercise of veto by P5 as an obstacle to UNSC effectiveness. The 5 permanent members of the UNSC, P5, China, France, Russia, the United Kingdom, and the United States possess the power of veto, which allows them to block substantive resolutions proposed by other members, even if there is majority support among the Council. The use of the veto power can present challenges and obstacles to the effectiveness of the UNSC in several ways. 1. Stalemates and gridlock. Veto power can lead to stalemates and gridlock within the UNSC when permanent members have conflicting interests or positions on specific issues. This can hinder the Council's ability to take timely and decisive action in response to threats or crises. 2. Selective intervention. The veto power may result in selective intervention or non-intervention by the UNSC, depending on the priorities and preferences of the P5 members. This can raise questions of fairness, consistency, and legitimacy in the Council's decision-making processes. 3. Reform challenges. Efforts to reform the UNSC, including discussions on expanding permanent membership or limiting veto power, face challenges due to resistance from P5 members who may perceive changes as impacting their influence and prerogatives within the Council. The Uniting for Peace resolution, adopted by the UN General Assembly in 1950, provides a mechanism for the General Assembly to take action in cases where the Security Council is unable to act effectively due to the veto power of one or more permanent members. Key points about this resolution include: General Assembly's role. The resolution empowers the General Assembly to consider and recommend collective measures for maintaining international peace and security when the Security Council is deadlocked or unable to reach consensus due to veto use. Second, emergency sessions. The General Assembly can convene emergency sessions to discuss and address urgent peace and security issues, allowing for broader participation and decision-making beyond the UNSC. Third, non-binding nature. Actions taken under the Uniting for Peace resolution are non-binding, meaning they do not have the same legal force as UNSC resolutions. However, they serve as important political statements and can influence international opinion and actions. Reforms of UNSC. The UN Security Council has been a subject of ongoing debate regarding its structure, composition, and decision-making processes. Key aspects of discussions on UNSC reforms include: 1. Expansion of membership. Proposals have been made to expand both permanent and non-permanent membership of the UNSC to reflect contemporary geopolitical realities and enhance the Council's legitimacy and representation. 2. Veto power. There have been calls to reform or limit the use of the veto power by permanent members to prevent it from being a barrier to effective decision-making and action by the UNSC. 3. Regional representation. Many proposals emphasize the need for increased representation of regions that are currently underrepresented or not represented among permanent members, aiming for a more balanced and inclusive council. 4. Decision-making process. Discussions also focus on improving transparency, accountability, and efficiency in the UNSC's decision-making process, including the criteria for authorizing military action and the role of non-permanent members in decision-making.
Thank you for watching. We're thrilled to have you here and hope that you find our content informative, engaging, and entertaining. Be sure to like, share and subscribe, and don't forget to join us for further updates.